she's just evil. Like, there's nothing like her.
Why would she even tweet that? Like, don't you have
I think she just sits around in her evil lair whenever she runs out of Eye of Newt and small children to boil.
Hillary Clinton is one of the most disgusting human beings on the planet.
Very much so.
Always has been, always will be, and will be inserting clips on her response to Benghazi several times throughout the interview. I want to show who she is.
Hillary Clinton just got dragged back into the spotlight, and this time, it's not a polished journalist or rival politician calling her out. It's Tyrus, the ex-wrestler turned political commentator. And trust me, he's not pulling any punches. Tyrus has ripped open Hillary's closet, and let's just say the skeletons inside aren't collecting dust. They're moonwalking across the floor. This isn't a polite roast. This is a full-on pile driver of mockery, snashing straight into the bizarre contradictions of Hillary's career, like a steel chair crashing down in the middle of a wrestling ring. Buckle up, because what follows is less political critique and more royal...
Every time she talks, you kind of get why Bill did what he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, it's kind of like, again, I don't condone, cheating, but that's your morning.
Yeah.
You gotta kiss that before you go to bed at night, and then you gotta sleep with one eye open.
Yeah.
Because your buddy Epstein didn't off himself, and she has all this extra footage cut up in the closet. Like,
Before we dive deeper, hit that like button and subscribe. You're not going to want to miss this breakdown. Hillary Clinton has always strutted into the American political arena like she owns the place, armed with a resume so bloated it could double as a CVS receipt. Yet despite decades of power, piles of cash, and endless insider connections, she still can't seem to convince the public that she's the one they actually want leading them. It's almost impressive. In a tragic way, like that one kid in gym class who insists they're the star athlete, but still trips on the layup line.
We hear things that we find so fundamentally hard to believe. I mean, I'm in that category. People say things like, oh, that could never happen. But having been a close observer now for quite a number of years of our current president, you have to suspend your disbelief. And you have to do two things simultaneously. You have to both listen to what he says, because he often telegraphs what he's...
This is the same woman who managed to lose to Donald Trump. Yes, that Donald Trump. That's not just a defeat. That's a Guinness World Record for most embarrassing collapse in modern politics. Imagine spending years sharpening your image, rallying donors from Wall Street to Silicon Valley, and building the perfect campaign machine, only to faceplant because you couldn't be bothered to step foot in Wisconsin.
They wanted us to believe it was a big naughty redhead that was going around, was going to ruin the world and do all kinds of bad things to us. Turns out the catfish was, hey, we don't boo here, but for this one time, you may boo.
But Hillary's biggest problem has always been her contradictions. She branded herself the champion of the working class, while cashing $225,000 checks for cozy speeches to Goldman Sachs. That's not relatable. That's like showing up to a backyard barbecue in a pantsuit made of caviar and insisting, "Don't worry, guys, I totally get your struggle." The disconnect couldn't have been clearer.
Apology tour for lying to the American people and ruining 2 years of Trump's presidency and affecting elections with Russiagate, impeachment, and fake dossiers. Oh yeah, let's not forget the P-tape. Turns out it was the Democrats and the lefty media peeing down our backs and telling it was rain.
Her instincts, if you can even call them that, have been the political equivalent of a malfunctioning GPS. The kind that tells you to turn left straight into a river. From Iraq to healthcare, Hillary has consistently picked the wrong path, only to pivot later when polls made it safe to do so. That's not leadership. That's procrastination dressed up as evolution.
was the most unlikable candidate in the history of presidents, and that's saying a lot.
But Biden says the same thing.
He's number 2. When Biden says something, does anyone go like, oh?
Right.
No, they used to go, oh, wait.
And then, of course, the emails, the saga that simply refused to die. Hillary's private server was about as secure as a teenager's Tumblr account, and yet we were supposed to believe it was all a harmless mistake. This wasn't just misplacing a diary. This was the Secretary of State putting classified information on a setup that a 12-year-old with a Hotmail account could have cracked. Add Benghazi into the mix, and you've got scandals that turned into defining symbols of incompetence. Her 2016 run was supposed to be the coronation, but instead, it became a masterclass in political malpractice.
Dealing with the Hillary Clinton emails from a couple years ago saying how she should be in jail and all this other stuff. And it's just point to point to point to point exactly what just happened, proving once and for all it had absolutely nothing to do with Hillary Clinton's emails. It had everything to do with attacking Hillary Clinton, and these people are just so desperate for it that that's what they went for. And of course, the hypocrisy is just out on stage for everybody to see.
And when it all fell apart, the excuses came rolling in. Russia, Facebook memes, James Comey, Bernie Bros, sexism, Vladimir Putin's dog walker, you name it. Everything and everyone was to blame, except the person who actually ran the campaign. The truth is, Hillary losing wasn't a conspiracy. It was a reality check decades in the making.
But, Tyrus, and this goes back to 2016, people were reluctant to talk to pollsters and say, I like Donald Trump. And now, fast forward 8 years later, essentially they're saying, if you like him, you're in a cult. Do you really want to be in a cult?
If the cult that Hillary doesn't like, yeah, sign me in. What do I need? Is it a red hat? I'll get.
Her stint as Secretary of State wasn't much better. Sure, she racked up miles like a frequent flyer addict, bragging about visiting over 100 countries. But logging air miles doesn't equal foreign policy success. It just makes you an expensive tourist with a government plane. And her attempts to connect with younger voters? Painful. Hot sauce in my purse? Please. Watching Hillary try to appeal to millennials was like watching Windows 95 attempt a TikTok dance.
When the losing side, or someone, she's just a very unlikable person and will say anything to get this attention. But here's the thing, it's changed. America has changed. We no longer listen to that stuff. Now when they say it, we go, that's why I didn't vote for you.
Here's the fascinating part. She had every possible advantage. Money, power, name recognition, decades of experience. And yet, people still didn't trust her. She came off less like a leader and more like a political algorithm, spitting out focus group-tested lines. Add in the dynastic baggage of being a Clinton, and suddenly her inevitability felt more like entitlement. Americans don't like being told who their rulers are supposed to be.
Her logic makes no sense, but why would she say it? We can't just keep saying TDS. It's something else. It is. I think these are I think they're ego-damaged people.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't make any sense.
Look, she was going to be the first woman president.
Yes.
And who is she?
But if Hillary Clinton is anything, it's durable. She's absorbed more scandals than most politicians could survive. Whitewater, Travelgate, Lewinsky, Benghazi, emails. Any one of those could have ended someone else's career. But Hillary just kept marching, chin up, as if sheer persistence would eventually force history to crown her. Yet her persistence became less inspirational and more robotic, leaving behind a legacy not of progress, but of disconnect.
This woman should be in jail. Literally, Hillary Clinton should be behind bars. And so should the people who worked for her who did this. This is so blatantly corrupt. She wanted to distract from her email scandal. She cooked up a plan to accuse Trump of being a Russian agent in order to distract from her own legitimate scandal. She made up a scandal about Trump being a Russian.
In the end, Hillary Clinton wanted to be remembered as a pioneer, a fighter, the ultimate glass ceiling breaker. Instead, she's remembered as the woman who lost to Donald Trump. After all the battles, all the scandals, all the speeches and spin, her legacy boils down to one brutal punchline. She thought she would be president. She thought she should be president, but she wasn't.
The greatest achievement Trump ever did when they read the history books. It'll be like, maybe there'll be these wars will be solved in economy, but then there'll be a two-page spread on how he beat Hillary and how that will always be. He'll be on Mount Rushmore for that. They should do like called a Mount Trump, where they have the heads of the people he beat. So they've already got Hillary, and they got Kamala, and then maybe he can run again. You know, we still don't know, right?
One of his best lines ever was when he was first elected, and the people around him said, "We got to go for Hillary now. Lock her up, lock her up." And he said, "Nah, just let it go. She lost. She's going to have to live with that for the rest."
The Clinton Foundation, Uranium One, the basket of deplorables comment, the list of self-inflicted wounds goes on and on. Every time she tried to control the narrative, she just reinforced the perception of elitism. The irony? She probably would have been a competent president, detail-oriented, policy-savvy, disciplined. But voters don't elect homework graders. They elect leaders. And Hillary never figured out how to bridge that gap.
Just this sort of haggard old woman. I ran against her in 2006 for the Senate. She was riding high. She was going to be the first woman president. The world was at her feet. And now look at her.
Yeah, is that the greatest?
I mean, you don't even want to look at her.
Done. The greatest achievement Trump ever did when they read the history books. It'll be like, maybe there'll be these wars will be solved in economy, but then there'll be a two-page spread on how he beat Hillary and how that will always be. He'll be on Mount Rushmore.
So what's left? A Shakespearean tragedy written by cable news producers. Hillary Clinton had the ambition, the power, the persistence, but not the connection. She wanted the crown, but never learned how to win the kingdom. And that, more than any scandal or headline, is why history will remember her not as the first female president, but as the most famous almost.
That's true.
You know, per Katie's point earlier, though, she is essentially, if you follow her logic, violent crime good, leave it alone.
In trying to make history, she did, but in the cruelest way possible. She became the first woman to come close, and the first major party candidate to lose to Donald Trump. Instead of breaking the glass ceiling, she became the glass ceiling, unbreakable, transparent, and blocking everyone else from moving forward. And maybe that's Hillary Clinton's final legacy. Proof that inevitability isn't a campaign strategy, entitlement isn't a leadership quality, and even the most determined climb can end in a collapse.